Welcome to Success with Significance. I'm Darryl Baskin of the Baskin Real Estate Specialist at eXp Realty. And for those of you maybe catching, catching this as your first program, it's one of my favorite shows to do. And the reason for that is every day I'm selling a piece of Tulsa when I sell a house. And at eXp Realty, we believe you're buying part of the community and buying a piece of the city. And what's better to know more about that city than to know the people in the community and what makes it tick. And today I've got a longtime friend of mine, Shannan Beeler, that we've known since high school, actually revisiting some of that before the program as to how did we ever even meet. You're a longtime Tulsan. Are you native?
I'm not native, but I have lived here since I was about 4.
There aren't many people who are native to Tulsa, really. A lot of us were transferred in. Shannan's story is one. She's the state executive director of the state for junior achievement, and lots of stuff I want to talk about with junior achievement. But in particular, on these discussions, I like to find out about the individual who's running them and a little bit about the success story of if I just had my measurement, I would say you're younger than most executive directors of organizations on a state level.
I appreciate that.
So I figured you'd probably like it. At least
because
wouldn't
you know
object
how
to
old
it.
I am.
You wouldn't object to it. But that's an accomplishment. And yet you look back at things and you think, well, how did I get here? And am I doing an effective job? And those internal things that you're wondering about. And I'd like to know more about it. So tell me your story about how you got involved with junior achievement in the first place.
Well, that was 17 years ago. And in all honesty, I got involved by accident. This is not what I originally aspired to do.
What did you originally aspire to do?
Well, from the time I was 13, I knew that I wanted to be a youth and family counselor. So that's what I set out to do, and got my undergrad, went to graduate school, got my master's in social work, all with the idea that I would use that for counseling. And I did that for a number of years. And, somewhere along the way, I realized that as kids grow and they develop and bad things happen in their lives, you can't change that for them. So you have to start very young. You've got to be proactive with kids and help them to see that they can make positive choices in their life even when they're not living in positive circumstances. And that's what brought me to junior achievement.
Am I correct? I'm smiling because I'm kind of hearing you say you really realized you didn't want to deal with the symptoms.
Right.
You wanted to make an impact that empowered young people before they started to have to deal with those symptoms.
So I worked with kids. I worked in psychiatric hospitals. So I worked with kids long after they had been kicked out of school, typically, usually in pretty dire circumstances. And it's difficult to take circumstances like that and fix those. You have to be proactive. So for me, it was more about being proactive than reactive. I want to help kids learn how they can achieve their own success, their own destiny. But first you have to define what that is. I think so often kids' circumstances happen to them, and they don't have the coping skills and the mechanisms to deal with that.
So they just have a reactive
they're a product of the environment.
Problem-solving approach, which may or may not result in anything positive, usually not.
Right.
What do you... So you got involved, was it originally as a volunteer, or were you just hired for the position? What happened?
I was just hired for the position. I think it was a group interview with the board of directors, and what they told me at the time was, boy, we took a chance on you because you were pretty young, but there was a tenacity. We knew that you would do what it took, to get the job done. And more than that, I think I just have a passion for kids. I have a passion for making sure that kids have the best chance at life and being successful in however they define that.
How did you see, when you made the transition from social work, is that best?
Right.
Okay.
Sure.
From social work to junior achievement, what did you see? How did it help you, that background? And what did you see? Let me give you an example. When I have a new agent joining my company, their initial 2 or 3 weeks is where I really get to measure
Right.
what a difference it is between one real estate company and EXP. And after that, it's kind of like it becomes normal. So thinking back to when you made that change, what really struck you that junior achievement is making a huge difference? Because now it's just normal to you. It's what you do every day.
Right. But I have to tell you, it's never normal. Every day is a new day, and my inspiration comes from the success of the students that I get to see. And I get to see it every day. So, but that's where it all started for me. When I first came to junior achievement, in all honesty, I didn't know. I didn't know if it was going to be enough for me. After working in the types of situations and circumstances I had, I thought, well...
Enough as in challenging, okay, deep?
I didn't
okay.
know that it was going to be deep enough of an impact on students, on kids. And I went to my first classroom. And I looked at their faces, and I watched the light bulbs come on when we started talking about some of the most basic things. There are kids in Tulsa who live in poverty. They don't see an economy system. They don't know how to make life work for them in their circumstances.
They think that success or the prosperity or getting a new car or whatever, they think that belongs to someone else.
Right.
Because that's just
They
their
haven't
life
seen it.
and that's somebody else's.
Right.
So I almost don't know how to ask the next question. I don't know how to formulate it, but you see that, and it's got to, the depth of that has to be almost unexplainable, because you see what the kids aren't going to become. In other words, you've dealt with the worst situations, but because you see something, which maybe to me, I look in and I say, oh, good, he's learning how to balance a checkbook. But to you, it's got to be, oh, he's not just learning how to balance a checkbook. He's learning how to avoid this myriad of things that I would have no clue even exist.
He is learning how to self-sustain. He is learning skills that will allow him to make good choices for himself in his life. One of the programs that we have with Junior Achievement, it's called JA BizTown, and if you came to the Junior Achievement facility on any given day, you'd see approximately 100 fifth graders learning to run their own city. Okay, it's not, for them, it's not about the jobs. What I look at when I watch them is the fact that in that one day, they're learning how to work together. And it may be the first time in school that they've had to come together as a group because they're having to run a business. They literally have to write checks, they get paid for the work they're doing, and their goal at the end of the day is to pay off their bank loan. Well, that's not the part that's so important to me. The part that's important to me is that they're watching the interdependence of a community. They're seeing that, boy, in order for me to be successful, you've got to do your part too. And if we want to be successful as a group, I have to do my part. And those are the life lessons that students have to learn, and the things that will truly make a difference for them as they are going into their own lives.
It is Junior Achievements BizTown, right? Okay. It had another name previously. I want to make sure I said the right one.
Yeah.
That place is really amazing. When I walk in, I've never, as many times as I've been in there, and I've seen the kids, doing their thing, it's never gotten old to me.
Right.
Because there's someone going around reading. You own a business, or you're running a business, or maybe you're my daughter was one of them, was in research and development. There's a Bank of Oklahoma there, and Arby's, and so each person is learning a role, and they're seeing how it works together. There's a mayor, and they have a State of the City address. and you buy advertising from Cox. And my daughter came home and she said, I learned how difficult it was to run a business and to keep track of your finances. And so it was really a great thing, and each one of them gets to do that. A meter reader comes around and reads the meter to find out how much electricity you're using at your business, and you've got to pay the bill.
And that might be the first time as that person's doing that, and they're reading that meter, and then they are actually having to chart it. That might be the first time that student goes, okay, so this is why math is important. You mean I would use it like this one day? Right. And that's what is so incredible about junior achievement. It helps bridge the world of school for students and the world they're going to live in one day. It helps them see that what I'm doing today is relevant to what I'm going to be in my future.
So that's where the slogan, "We are a bridge," comes from.
It does.
Is taking the volunteers and the students and creating a bridge so that they see what their education is really all about.
Right.
Well, Shannan, we've got to take a break, and when we come back, I want to ask some more personal questions.
Okay.
And we'll be back right after this. Welcome to Bixby, Oklahoma, the fast-growing suburb of Tulsa, where home values are among the best in the nation. Here in the gate-guarded community of Stanford Elm resides an attractive country French architecture, curved streets, towering trees, and the peaceful ambiance of a flowing creek and water fountains. Step inside this beautiful home for sale and see more of the quality of life features Bixby, Oklahoma has to offer. Designed by Oklahoma's famed architect, Jack Arnold, this home has a cozy feel of a comfortable cottage with expansive living areas you would expect in a large luxury home. Inviting, formal rooms ready to greet guests and entertain with the convenience of a butler's hall and pantry. 4 bedrooms, a master suite on the first floor with a spacious, open bathroom are the true sense of luxury. Enjoy this open game room and family living area upstairs, where games and movies won't disturb others. For more information about this home for sale in Stanford Elm or others available in the Bixby, Oklahoma area, contact the Baskin Real Estate Specialists at eXp Realty, 918-740-0077, or online at homeguidetulsa.com. Well, visiting with Shannan Beeler, the state executive director of the state Junior Achievement Organization, and talked about junior achievement and what that is. I'm curious still more about how you define success, and maybe even some stories about that personally. Okay. I know who you are professionally, but something's driving you. Yeah,
I think that my definition of success probably changes often. To me, success is a process. It's not something you achieve and you're done and and you can walk away. For me, success is all about when I get to the end of my life, can I look back and can I say I made a difference, I did all I could, and did I choose daily the things that were most important? And so for me, what that looks like, it depends on the day.
Yeah.
It depends on really what I'm working on that day, because I think like all of us, I balance a lot of roles. And there is nothing more important to me and nothing that would define success for me more than my role as a mom. So at the end of the day, was I a good mom today? Did I do what my kids needed? And that's number one.
Knowing what you know about the education system and being a mom, what do you do different that makes you just say, I want to do things a certain way, I want to raise my kids a certain way so they don't end up with some of the issues that I've seen?
Right.
What is that?
Involvement. I am involved with my kids. I go to their school activities. We talk. We talk every single night about their day, about what was important that happened in school. And as I have two that are getting in middle school, those conversations tend to get much more interesting. But, I just think it's open communication.
Any do-overs? If you look back at your life and say, and I almost kind of hate the question, but
right.
I'm always fascinated by the answer. What would you do different?
I don't know, and I always struggle with that question. And the reason I struggle is because I think that all of the things in your life is what leads you to who you are. And I wouldn't change who I am. There are small things I would change daily. I look back and I think, was I kind enough to someone who really needed me to be kind? Was I patient enough? And those are the things that I tend to measure against and think, boy, I'd like to do that over. And tomorrow I'm going to make sure
yes.
that I do that differently. But when I look at my life, there's really nothing that I would like to do over. Because it might change something else. And
I hear that answer a lot. Even people who, and sometimes I have to yank something out of them to get a do-over answer. But there's a real appreciation for all of the mistakes.
Right.
They look at it and they say, gosh, that was a really bad time, or that was a really dumb decision, but I would not have been where I am today had I not had that experience. I've got a property. I've got a property that maybe I shouldn't have bought. But I can promise you, I have the best education for property management from that one property that's brought about every problem it can bring. That's really good. As much as I've known you since high school, and we've had plenty of
I think we're telling
chats.
our age here.
That's right. Well, as long as neither of us give that up,
okay, then
we're
know.
both safe. Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know that we've had really a good personal conversation, and I've always wanted to know your story about junior achievement and how you got involved. And it makes me appreciate what you're doing even more, because I understand what drives you behind the scenes. So thanks for doing this. More information about junior achievement, where would you get it?
You would go to jaok.org.
That's an easy address.
And you'll be able to find anything that you'd like to know. And if not, call me.
Volunteers
we have 4,000 volunteers out in the classroom, and 4,000 is not enough. We barely scratch the surface. We're serving across the state 55,000 students, but that's out of a population of 650,000 students. So we always need volunteers. The more volunteers we have, the more kids we reach.
The curriculum's provided.
It is.
There's coaching to help you understand.
Yes.
And even if you're really that intimidated, find someone to partner with and do a class together. Maybe someone who's done, I'll even accept, I'll let somebody come in and kind of shadow me, and you'll realize how easy it is to teach a class. And personal story, you've never really had such a feeling of success than when you've had a student 5 years after they got out of high school. You run into them in the business world, managing a store, they tell this story, whatever it is, they tell this story that, yeah, you were my junior achievement. And I'm like, I didn't know you were listening.
Right.
You were the kid with the headphones on, weren't you?
Well, yeah, but the music was turned off, and they heard everything
right.
you said.
I was too cool. I was too cool to listen,
Right.
But I was really listening.
Right.
So anyway, good job. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for volunteering for junior achievement.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, make sure you click follow. Get updates on future Success with Significance programs and other things that TulsaLiveEvents.com is doing around the community. I'm Darryl Baskin with eXp Realty. Need to buy or sell a home? Make sure you give us a call. We'll see you next week.